Hi, hello everyone. I'm at Utrafew Plus. This is MongoDB session part 14. To know more about us, please use this website address which I have mentioned in my presentation. So let's see the agenda for today's session. Today we are going to see about the entire concept of sharding and why we are using sharding in MongoDB, how we can create a sharding in our collection, how can we replace, how can we merge with the help of aggregation in sharding. So everything we are going to cover today. So this sharding concept is mainly useful for the people who are working as an administrator in MongoDB. So this sharding is really helpful for the people who are working on development side using MongoDB as their backend. Sharding is just like they just wanted to know what is sharding. That's it. But for the people who are trying for administrative in MongoDB, they should know the entire concept, how the sharding is plays an important role. So basically it is like a distributing a data across multiple machines. So it uses to support deployments with large set of data throughout the entire operation. So for example, high query rates can, if we are writing some high query like an n number of queries, it may exhaust our CPU capacity of the server. So for this size working sets, the size of the RAM also become a stress for the IO capacity disk drives. So for that, they have introduced sharding in MongoDB. So the two types they have using this, one is horizontal scaling and one is vertical scaling. So let's see what is vertical scaling. So it is like it involves increasing capacity of the single server such as CPU, and also it will add more ROM and it will increase the amount of storage space. So in limitation is like it may restrict a single machine the sufficient powerful for the given workload. So cloud also it provides a hard ceiling based on available hardware configuration. So for cloud as well, it will produce that amount of, based on the amount of data, it will provide some hardware configuration for cloud as well as. So as a result, there is a practical maximum for vertical scaling. So this is all about vertical scaling. What it will do, it will increase the based on the, it will only concentrate on the single server. So in that single server, what it will do, based on the data, it will increase the CPU, it will make the CPU more powerful, and it will increase the storage space of the RAM as well as. So it is like it has a restriction like only in the single machine on single server the entire data should get stored. For in cloud, for storing cloud as well as, it will make the hardware configuration based on the hard ceiling. So but whereas horizontal scaling, what it will do, it will divide the data sets and load over multiple servers. So additionally for that servers, it will increase the capacity as required. So each machine handle the workload. So the efficiency wise is also better, and the speed wise is also it providing the high speed capacity. So while expanding the capacity, it requires additional servers, which means lower overall cost may leads to high-end hardware for single machine. So that's why MongoDB supports a horizontal scaling for sharding. Sharding is nothing but what it will do, it will store the data across the multiple machines. So by storing, what it will do, with the help of this horizontal scaling, it will increase the size of the CPU. It will make the CPU more powerful, and it will increase the ROM size across a multiple server. It will not concentrate on a single server. So that is what the advantage of using this horizontal scaling comparing to the vertical scaling. So we have shared clusters in MongoDB. So it is like shared. What is meant by shared? So it consists of subset of the shared data. Each can be deployed as replica set. So it contains num data. So next is Mongoose. It acts the interaction between the client application and the shared cluster. So config servers, what it will do, it will store the metadata and configuration setting for the cluster. So this is how it will work. This is our app server. This is Mongo. So what it will do, based on this two, whatever data, it will stored as a shared a replica set. So one or more router, two or more shared. So we have one config servers, the replica set. So this is how the shared Mongoose and config servers, they are all called as shared clusters in MongoDB. So we have a shared key as well as. So key means what it will do, it distribute the collection document across the shards. The shared key, what it will do, consists of fields that exist in every document in the target collection. You can choose the shared key by the shared collection. So the choice of the shared key cannot change after sharding. So it can only one shared key. To shared non-empty collection, what it will do, the collection must have the index that starts with the shared key. For empty collection, MongoDB can create the index if the collection does not already have an appropriate index for that particular specified keys. The choice of the shared key may also affect the performance, efficiency, and scalability of that particular shared cluster. So, what is mean by chunks? It is like a partition of the shared data in the chunks. So, each chunks may have an inclusive lower and exclusive upper range based on the shared key which is using. So, how we can balance the chunk distribution? So, to achieve an even distribution of a chunk across all the shards in the collection, a balancer should run in the background to migrate the chunks across the shards. So this is what happening at every time. The data will be stored in the shared cluster, and what it will do, it will make that shared data into a partition called chunks. So in the chunks, what it will do, it will be evenly distributed in all the clusters. So to balance, it will run at the background to migrate the chunks with the shards. So this is a overall happening how our data is scattered over all the servers in our MongoDB with the help of the horizontal scaling in sharding. So what is the advantages of sharding? Read and write. So MongoDB, what it will do, it will distribute the read and write workloads across the shards in the cluster, and also it will allows the each to process the subset of the cluster operation. So both read and write workload can be scaled horizontally across the cluster by adding more shards. So basically, what is the maximum storage capacity? So it is like it allows the each shard to contain the subset of the total cluster. So as a result, it grows, it can additionally increase the storage capacity. It does not have that particular size or that. So when the data of a cluster's chunks may be grow in future, it will increase the capacity of the cluster as well as. So what is this high availability? So it can perform the partial read as well as write if one or more shards are unavailable. While we can also have a subset of data of an unavailable shard that cannot access during downtime. This read or write will be available till that operation gets succeed. We can also deploy a servers as replica set. So as a shared cluster with CSRS, it can be able to continue to read or write as long as the majority of the replica set is available. So basically you need to note the point here. if some data which is reading or writing the operation is not available, means it will not stop the operation. So it is perform it with the help of config server replica set, which is nothing but CSRS. It used as, and it will continue that read and write process with the some other clusters in our replica set, so that high availability is also there in sharding, so that we can use the sharding in MongoDB to store our data, horizontal scaling. So next is shared and non-shared collection difference. So in production environments, each shard should be deployed as a replica set, providing an increased redundancy and availability. So shared and non-shared collections. So a database can have a mixture of shared and as well as unshared collection. So what this shared collection will particularly do, it will do a partition and it will distribute across the shards in the collection, whereas the unshared will store as a primary shard, even its own database, even this database has its own primary shard. So this is the example. So in our shared collection, so it will be distributed across the shared cluster. But in the unshared collection, what it is doing, it is stored as a primary shard. So this is the difference between them. So now what is how to connect to shared cluster. So we need to connect the Mongoose router to interact with any collection in the shared cluster. So basically how we can do that? So for that we need to include the shared as well as unshared collection, and then we should with the help of a Mongo router, we need to do a read or write operation. For that, how we can do? We need to create an application. In that application, with the help of a driver, we need to try to interact with that Mongo router, whether we need to perform a read or a write operation, so that if it is a shared collection, what it will do, it will spread the collection all over the cluster. If it is an unshared collection, it will store as a primary. So this is stored as a primary. Here it is spreading that collection. So this is how we can connect it to the shared cluster. For that, we need a shared and unshared collection in that. So this is how we can connect. So next, we cannot connect Mongos in the same way to MongoD, such as we can do that via Mongo shell or else with the Mongo driver. So we have some strategy. So what it is? So like it supports the two strategy for distributing the data across the cluster. One is hashed strading. So it involves the computing of hash key field values. So in that, so the each chunk is then assigned a range based on that hashed sharded key values. So what is means? So the chunks means the data is divided into chunks, then it will assign to a range. So based on that hashed key which is in our data. So based on that it is decided. So while the range of the shared key may close, their hashed values are unlikely to be on the same chunks. So the data distribution is like facilitates more even data, and especially in data sets, this shared key changes monotonically. So this is how this hash function is working. So what it is doing, so this is all the data. So in the chunks it is like based on the hash values, even distribution. So whereas this shared key will change monetarily, this is our shared key. So based on that, in our chunks it is evenly distributed. So this is like 2 7, so it varies. This chunk 3 is alone get now varied. So as of now we have 25 for the chunk 1 and chunk 2, and 26 for our chunk 4, and 27 for our chunk 3. So based on that, this size is now getting values. So this is our hashed key. So this is how this hashed key in sharding works. So based on the key, it will varies, but before that it will it will only do the even distribution, but based on the hashed key it will get differed. You can see that in a pictorial representation. So this 27 is alone now varied, but 25, this is how, and 26. So everything size is now get varied, but it is evenly distributed over all over the chunks. So next is ranged. So how is spreaded based on the range? So it just involves dividing a data in range based on the shared key values. In the hashed key, based on the key, it is evenly distributed. So, but here in the shared key values. So now each chunk is then assigned a range based on the shared key values. So from minimum to maximum I have. So for the minimum key, I have this, and for the maximum, I have 175. So this is my values based on the key. This is my values. So my chunks is now get evenly distributed based on that key, shared key values. So this is the space for my X. So this is 175. This is my max key. This is my 25, this is 175, this is minus 25, this is my minimum key. So this is how the data is now getting in range sharding. So this will allows for the target operation as Mongoose, and we can also route the operation to not only a shards, then we can also contains our required data. So basically in zones in sharded clusters. So we can also create zones for our sharded data based on a shard key. So in that we can associate each zone with one or more shards in the cluster. So it can associate it with any number of zones. So in the balanced cluster, what it will do, this MongoDB will migrate the chunks covered by the zone, not only to slad it associated with the zone, but each zone covers more than range of shared key values, so that each range zone covers is always inclusive of its lower boundary and it is exclusive of its upper boundary. So this is how we can create a zone on our shared data based on the shared key. So this is my zone. This is zone A, this is zone AB, and this is my empty zone. So what it is doing? So X8, this is my zone. So based on that sharded key, it has created a, and in that zone I have a two sharded key values. So two zones has been created. So in this I have a object of the zone. So this is for here my zone is created as empty. So this is how it works. So next, when we choosing a shared key, carefully we need to keep one thing in mind. We cannot change the shared key after sharding the collection. So once that key has been created, we cannot change the key after sharding the collection. So most commonly, zone will serve to improve the locality of the data clusters that can span multiple data centers. So how development configuration. So for testing and development, we can deploy the standard cluster with minimum number of components. So and for non-production clusters, we need to do the following. For the development, like testing and development means we need to keep one thing in mind with the help of minimum number of components. But for non-production, we need to keep in mind the replica set configured with one member at least, and also at last our sharded has a single member in replica set, and it should have one Mongo instance. So this 3 points is for non-production clusters. For production, testing, and development, it should have a minimum number of components. But for non-production, this 3 should be there. It should have configured with the replica set server with one member, at least a single member in main replica set, and one Mongo instance is also should be there. So this is how a router and one or more shards and then one server. So this is for our production. So basically how this primary sharded works. So in each database in sharded cluster, we have a primary shard that hold all the unshared collections. So every database will have a primary shard. So in unshared collection, what it will do, the collection will make everything as a primary shard. So it has no relation to the primary shard in replica set. So what it will do, it will select the primary shard when creating a new database by picking up the least amount of data. So it uses the total field returned by the list database command as a part of the selection criteria. So this is how it is selecting. So to change the primary shard of our database, we need to use move primary command. So this move primary command, what it will do, it will migrate the key significant to complicate, and then we should not access the collection associated to that database until it completes. So depending on the amount of data being migrated, this migration will affect the overall cluster operation. So next is sharded status. So we can get the status by using sh.status method in the Mongo shell to see the overview of our cluster. So basically what it will do, it reports which shard is primary for the database and the chunk distribution across the shards. So next is sharded cluster components. So it is like we have seen to perform a read or write operation from the application with the help of a driver, we need to use this router or Mongoose to do the performance. So this is what we have telling. This Mongoose will route the queries and write operation to shard in the sharded cluster. So this provides only interface to the sharded cluster from the perspective of application. So this application will never connect or communicate directly with the shards. So what it will do, this Mongoose tracks what data is on shard by catching the metadata from the config servers. The Mongo uses the metadata to route the operation from application and clients to MongoD instances. So a Mongoose has no persistent state and communes minimal system resources. So this is how this router is using, and then routing and result process, how we are getting. So we need to determine the list of a shard that must receive the query, and also we need to establish a cursor to get all the targeted shards. So for that, the Mongoose merges the data from each of the targeted shards and then return the result document. So it also, what it will do, it will certain query modifiers such as sorting are performed on such as primary shard. So this Mongoose will retrieve the result. For that, in production version 3.6, what does aggregation operation do? This will run on a multiple shard. So if the operation does not require running on the database primary shard, so these operations may route the result back to the Mongoose, where the result will get now merged. So which means while running on a multiple shard, it does not require any of the database on the primary shell. So instead, what it will do, it may get the result to the Mongoose and then it will merge to the particular thing. So it will not directly merge the result. So it will, once it will hit the Mongo, it will merge. So there are two cases in a pipeline. So the first case is like when merge part of a split pipeline contains a stage, so which must run on a primary shard. So for instance, if the lookup requires to access the unshared collection in the same database, so as the shared on which aggregation is running, so the merge is obliged to run on primary shard. So then only we can merge. So because if we are using an unsharded collection, we cannot use it. If we are using a sharded collection, we cannot use on the same database. But if we use the unshared collection, so we can think like we can use this aggregation in the same database, and then we can merge. We can oblige to run on the primary shard. So, but in the second case, how it is occurring. So the merge will part split the pipeline contains stages, so which may write temporary data to the disk such as a group, and the client has specified allow disk true. So this if this is true, so what it will do, it will merge the part of the aggregation stages. It will split, it will temporarily write data to our disk such as group, and then it will make the allowed disk used to true. So in that case, we are assuming there is no other stages in the merge pipeline which require the primary shard. So what it will do, it will this merge will run randomly on the randomly selected shard. So it is now targeted by the aggregation. So, so for the more information, so we need to split the among the components of the standard cluster query. We need to set this explain to true as a parameter to the aggregation call. So this will return the 3JSON object. So which is like this merge type will show where the stage of the merge is happening, either in the primary shard or the any shard or the Mongoose. And the split pipeline will shows the operation in our pipeline has been run on the individual shreds, or it will show the work where the each shred has done. So this is how we can do. This can be done with explain true. We need to pass the parameter to the aggregation call. So then only we will get these three objects, whether it where it get merged and at what pipeline it gets splits and it runs as an individual shards. So basically how Mongoose handles the query modifiers. So in terms of sorting, so if the result of the query is not sorted, what it will do, so it will perform on a round robin, and it will get the result from all the cursors on the shards. So if it is a limit, if the query limits the size of the result using the limit cursor, the method instance passes that limits to all the shards, and then it will reapply the limit to the result before returning the result to the client. So this is how the sharding and limit is working. So how to confirm our connection? So to detect if our Mongo instance, our client is connected, we need to use isMaster command. So what it will do, it will return with the message field that holds a string is DB grid. So if it is connected, we will get this message is DB grid. So if it is not, we will not get this message, and it should be false, and OK will be 0. So it is also mentioned like this much object size is got, it has been get connected to a Mongo instance. So the next is broadcast operations. So basically, if the application is instead connected to the Mongo, the returned document will does not include the is DB grid string. So uh, while returning it will not, but while connecting it will have. So while reading I have. So at the end of my result, I will not have that if I am connected to the Mongoose. So after it receives the response from all the slats, what it will do, it will merge all the data and return the results. So that is why for the broadcast operation, it is always depend on the overload of the clusters as well as the variables and the number of documents. So how we can multi-update operation in Radgast. So we can use this update many and delete many methods. So it specifies the sharded key in full. So this is how it specifies the sharded key. So while connecting, it will return, but while returning a result, what it will do, it will merge. So it is always based on the variables and the sharded collections values in that particular thing. So for example, so I have A1, B1, C1. So this is my sharded keys. So therefore I have included my full sharded key, or either I have shared my key preferences at the specific shard. So this I am here using key preferences. So I'm doing an insert one operation to target to one shard. So what this will do, each document in the insert many array will target the single shard. No guarantee all the documents in the array will get inserted in the single shard. So how we can create the chunks in sharded cluster? So in most situations, we will create or split and distribute the chunks automatically without user innovation. So for example, if you want to ingest a large volume of data into the cluster, so that is also even unbalanced. So where we have used the injection of data to lead to imbalance. So for that, what we are doing, we are pre-splitting the chunks of empty shredded collection, so that can help throughout these cases. How to split the empty chunks manually? We can run the split command. So for example, uh, so in my Mongo shell, so this is my query, like in my for loop, I have written two for loop and I have iterating and I have stored. So in my dbadmin command, I'm splitting this my user in middle with the help of the email prefix. So what this will assume the size of 100 million documents. So the next, how to split the chunks. So normally it will split the chunk after insert if that exceeds the maximum chunk size. So if the large amount of data in our cluster, only very few chunks we need to deploy, other all our existing data, means what we can do, we can add the large amount of data that initially resides in our chunk. For example, if we are planning to insert a large amount of data with the shared key values, that is between 300 and 400, but all our values in our shared key are between 250 and 500, that is in our single chunk. So for that, we need to use sh.status to determine the current chunk races across the cluster. To split the chunks manually, we need to use the split command, either the middle or find. So that this is our helper method to do that. So sh.split find and sh.split at. So find what will do, it will split the chunks that contains the first document and then matches the query into two equally sized chunks. So for that, we need to specify the full namespace, that is database.collection. So then we can do that, but it does not need to use the sharded key. No sense in that. For example, I'm using the split find to split. So what I'm doing, I'm mentioning my database name as well as collection name in full with the help of sh.split find. I'm splitting this entire thing. So what the split at will do, it will split into two using the query document as the lower bound in the new chunk. So this is also we need to perform. We need to mention the entire database name as well as collection name, and I have splitting based on the lower bound in our new chunks. So how we can merge in the sharded collections? So we can allow the command to combine a continuous chunks on the same shredded. So how we need to identify? So the same thing, sh.status. So it will give the each shredded collection in the following example. So this is how my output. So this is my shredded version. It will give the compatible version, current version, and how many strats are. So these are my strats. This is 1, this is 2. In that my active Mongoose version is this. So my balancing, how it is get success. This is my database. Static key is my key values inside that. So finally, this is my record inside that. So after that, this appears in the form of the chunks. So this is how the chunks will appear in while we shredded our collection in our database. So basically, this is how we can merge. So I'm merging this and this. So in the strat A in our single server, I'm merging this. So to merge highlighted continuous chunks, we need to use a merge chunks command against the admin database. So in my admin database, I'm telling merge chunks, which is like test.members. So my bounce is like username. So with the help of this username, it should insert. So on the success, I'm getting this result. So this is my result. So on failure, I will get the OK field to 0, but here I'm getting 1, so it has got success. So how to view the merge chunks? So for that we need to put sh.status. So what it will give, it will give the chunks which has been merged with our collection based on the condition. So this is our collection in chunks that has been merged. So how to modify a chunk size in a collection? So the default chunk size of the Straded cluster is 64 megabytes. So this default size will work for most deployments. So however, we can notice there are more, if any IO hardware can handle, may reduce the chunk size. So the allowed range of the chunk size should be between 1 and 1024 megabytes inclusively. To modify the chunk size, we have a following procedure. First, we need to connect any of the Mongo in the cluster using Mongo cell. After that, we need to switch to the config database. So after connecting, I have switches to the config database, and then I'm doing a save operation to store the local global size values. So after that, I'm modifying that has some several limitations. So it will check for automatic splitting occurs an insert or update. It will also, if it has a lower chunk size, what it will do, it will take time for all the chunks to split with the newer slice. Split cannot be undone if I increase the chunk size existingly until it will grow through insertion or updates, so until they reach the newer size. So the allowed range should be between 1 and 1024 megabytes inclusively. So this is how we can insert, we can connect our to the Mongo cell, we can use the database, and we can save our data into our collection. Then with the help of the Straded collection, it is making all the data into chunks and it is communicating. So this is all about sharding in MongoDB. So basically sharding is like for admin, it is like he can use this sharding to manage his data into our collection, or if they are running a multiple server, so uh, they may feel it is difficult to manage the CPU or a RAM, so for that particular huge data, so they can use the sharding in MongoDB and then they can manage the data. So see you all on my next session. To know more about us, please write to info@uplets.com. Thank you.